Hello everyone, I'm here today for part B of the Matt Giggs special. Matt Giggs impressed me so much. I've known Matt for quite a few years now, so he impressed me. He's always a very impressive person, and he's always very, very switched on as to mindset, and we love that type of thing at our office. Mindset is so important. I think it really transforms people's lives. It makes you the best version of you, and I know Matt's a big believer in that. So Matt, welcome again.
Hello.
I wanted to ask you. You do a lot of training. You're into your mental health. You're into allowing people to be the best version of themselves. Tell us a little bit about what you do, and I want to ask you about a couple, maybe 3 or 4 of the things that your core beliefs that really you think helps people transform their lives. What is it for you?
Yeah, I think that I started in my younger years, I was always going to be a footballer. In my mind, I was always going to be a footballer. That didn't happen age 18, 19. And I had quite a big tragedy in my life at the time. I lost my brother, big knockback. For the decade after that, I was a bit of a victim in my own mindset, like to blame everybody else, consume the wrong things, and probably led a lifestyle that wasn't really conducive to me wanting to achieve my goals, if that makes sense. So probably roll forward to age 35, 36. I was 17 stone, left the corporate world, and I felt just so shattered. I felt shattered all the time.
Yeah.
It was amazing. I'd come home, I'd be lying on the couch, I'd be eating crap, never drinking enough water, drinking coffee all day. And I just thought that was it. I thought I'm in my mid-30s, that's life. And then I opened my eyes just gradually, started to drink water more than coffee, started to swap beers for a gin and tonic, started to stop takeaways and having home-cooked food, replacing this with that, making very, very small, subtle changes. All of a sudden, I started to get more energy. Then I started to do some events and some talks, and I went out there and started to explore people that I was following. What were their regimes? What were their lives looking like? In a way that wasn't so restrictive, but more enjoyable, but they felt like they were in control of their destiny. And for me, it was all about my mind. It was all about, how did I train this? It's okay training my body. It's okay eating the right things, but what do I need to put in there so I can tackle every challenge that comes my way? So just a few quick hacks on that. I mean, if I'm honest, you've got to take control. You've got to be the one that focuses on what you can control every single day. Refuse to get bogged down by the news, media, things that are outside of your capability and control, things that you can't do anything about. You probably just see my little man.
Yeah, it's a good dancer. It's a good dancer. Yeah, definitely.
There you go. So, but one of the things that you do when you're in a bit more of a victim state of mind is you blame everybody else. You look outside of yourself for the excuses. And it was, it was a bit of a light bulb moment for me when I realized that it was down to me. My life's down to me, nobody else. And I've got to come and sit with me if you want to. Come and sit here. It was down to me to make a difference to myself and my life. And that was about working on my mindset, listening to podcasts, keeping fit, looking at taking responsibility rather than blaming people. Taking responsibility is the key. And it's one of the things that, I've had to learn to do, because in the nicest possible way, it's much easier to blame. It's much easier to look outside of yourself. And it's a lot harder to take the responsibility, even at the time when you could really challenge whether that responsibility, is down to you. So that's such a big one for me. And,
I think, Matt, can I just pick up on that? So I think it's really true, because there's a big difference between fault and responsibility, right? So, it might not be your fault, but it's definitely your responsibility, right? So the economy, can't do anything about the economy, can't do anything about the government, you just can't do anything about that, but you just can control what impact that has on your life, because you control what is the outcome of that, really.
Well, I've worked with estate agents, and now tell me that things have slowed down, and there's vendors aren't willing to do X, willing to do Y. And actually, when you look at the conversations that they're having, they're very few and far between. They're not really of any educational sense for their sellers. So what can they do versus what can't they do? Well, you can let the news and perhaps the wrong energy infect you, if you like. Or you can take control of what you can take to that seller. What conversations can we go and have? How can we talk to them about what they need and how they're going to get there? And how can we control those steps? So along the way, those sellers really feel like they're getting the best advice and the best options to move forward. Now, most estate agents don't go out there and meet people in this current climate. They'll choose to WhatsApp, email, text. Instead of using the information that they've got about the market, go and see people, sit in front of them, figure out where they want to get to, and build a map of how they're going to get there by making the right decisions. And actually, what you find in this marketplace at the moment, there are way more opportunities today to stand out than there were 2 years ago. So in a estate agency, for argument's sake, being specific, it's a lot easier to stand out today as a great agent than it was 2 years ago. So how can you be a great agent today? First place to look is what makes a crap estate agent, and then do everything in the opposite way. What do you reckon, Duke?
Yes, I do.
That's good. Yeah.
Just come and sit down. Do you want to sit down? Sorry, Tony.
That's all right. No problem at all. So, Matt, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, I think there's what they say. There's not as much competition as you think for the top. You know, every there's a lot of competition for the lower places because everyone perceives that as easy. But actually, the higher up you go, mate, you must have found this. The higher up you go, actually, you find it's not that much more. It doesn't take that much more effort to be really outstanding. So I agree with you 100% on that. Now, you mentioned that you followed people and things like that. Who was... Obviously, it's great to have a mentor, but sometimes you can't have a mentor. Sometimes it's about reading a book or following someone online. Who were the people that inspired you?
Well, actually, Melissa, my wife, first of all, was one of those people. She helped me to see what I had, my strengths. So I definitely need to acknowledge her for that. And then I drove her car home one day, about 15, 16 years ago from the pub. It was the day after we were there. And in her car was a CD by a guy called Tony Robbins. And that was my introduction to Tony Robbins. Anyway, about 4 years later, I ended up going and doing Unleash the Power Within. And then I'd done 3 or 4 events with Tony Robbins. And I took a lot from that, a lot of experience, a lot of mindset development areas. And, you know, it really just reinforced what I was learning along the way. At the moment, there's people like Stephen Bartlett's quite a popular guy to listen to. I quite like Rob Moore in terms of his disruptive mindset. But there's I mean, you have got so many options out there today. But what I would say to anybody listening to this is you've got things that you believe in. You've got values that you believe in. My advice to you is go and find people that have got shared values, shared vision, shared beliefs. And they're the kind of people who can kind of show you where they've got to and how they've got there. And listen to their content, listen to the real stuff that they share, not just the nice pictures that you might see on social media, because most of these people have faced tragedy, faced adversity, faced challenges. They've been through some serious ups and downs. And that really reassured me along the way to think that I wasn't on my own at times. And actually... going through those moments has actually made me realize that when you're in the downs, you're just a bit closer to the next up.
100%. Life is peaks and valleys, isn't it? It's up and down. So the thing I would say to you is, Anthony Robbins, love him. I'm going to gain to Unleash the Power this year. I think he's so good. I think you just always need a refresh from that. Stephen Bartlett, very good. Rob Moore, Angelo, is my brother and business partner. He trained with Rob, you know, when they started doing NLP and things like this. So 100%. What you're saying, those people are amazing. Anything else you want to leave our listeners by? What piece of nugget could you tell people that would, help them along? Do you think?
Make all of your business decisions in alignment with your vision and your values. It's so important. It will be the best hack for your business. It's going to be a short-term pain, especially if you've got a business which is up and running and you haven't necessarily used those principles, but you need to have a clear vision. You need to know where you're heading. And then you need to know that the deeper things that you believe in, you're just never going to be able to overlook them. They'll come back. They'll keep coming back. And the more you put them second or third, the more frustrated and stressed you're going to get. So get those things at the top of your pile. It'll make more sense further down the road.
Matt, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'm sure our listeners got a lot out of that. And you got a guest as well. You had your own. You're my guest. You had your own guest. So we got 2 guests today. We got 2 gigs today. So thank you very much, Matt. I really enjoyed it.
Mate. Thank you.
See you later. See you soon.
Take care.